You know, we must have ESP going on between us, because I was just going to call you.
I scored so many points I can't remember the total.
The Morning Stream. Off, hairball.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to TMS. It's the morning stream for February 20th, 2025. I'm Scott Johnson. That's Brian Ibbett.
Hello, Scott. Hello.
Hello.
No foreign language today. I didn't have one written down. Did I tell you, by the way, that at the Super Bowl, I can't really call it a party because
your little get together though.
A little get together.
Sure.
We went to Chris Brown's house, and it was me and Tina, and Chris Brown's son was there for a little while. Crazy neighbor was there for a little while, and Chris Brown slept through the whole fourth quarter watching his Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, that's right. He's a fan, so he should have been. I guess they were. It was such a runaway killing that what he wasn't even watching at that point.
Exactly.
I get it.
Plus, toasting every touchdown early on left little room for recovering.
Sure.
Let's say.
Is he from Philly originally? Used to live there or something, or
used to live in New Jersey, right outside of Philly.
Okay,
on the near the border, Red Hill, I believe. Red Hill.
But real fandom, it sounds like that guy really
real fandom. And he's not, but he's not one of those real fans that's an asshole. Yeah. There's some, sorry, Philly, but your fan base is getting a reputation for being a real bunch of jerks.
Sore winners is what you are. You're being a bunch of sore winners.
Exactly. Listen, I mean, every team's fans will climb light poles and flip cars and stuff like that. They're just Cherry Hill. Thank you, Easy Read Address. Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Cherries are red. That's why I thought Red Hill.
Yeah. A good cherry is red. If you're eating a green one, you've got the wrong cherries. So.
You got the wrong cherries. Yeah. But it's the way, it's not necessarily the way you act after the game. It's the way you act at games and throwing cans of beer at people, fighting with people because they're wearing the other jersey, not just, razzing them and saying, Raiders suck. Well, good luck, you guys. That sort of thing. Like we do that at the Broncos game, right? Like when we had our season tickets, there was a couple in front and to the side of us that would always wear Raiders jerseys, even when the Raiders weren't playing.
Sure.
And would be like, how your Raiders doing this time? Not so good. Or something. Just basically like
friendly ribbing, like breaking your balls. Whipping. No big deal. Sure.
Yeah, Tina and I wouldn't do it because we had zero idea how the Raiders were doing, and we couldn't really razz them about that. But the people around us would do it. It was all fun, and they'd, even when we were playing the Raiders, no matter who was winning, it was like always, a little friendly stuff going on.
I love the idea of be like, if you don't know how they're doing, it's like, you guys having some kind of record this year. We don't know.
Exactly. No, people are like, hey, how are your Raiders doing this year? No, we really don't know.
We don't know. Could you actually inform us how your team's doing?
What's their actual record?
That's funny.
But no, I mean, like actual fist fights between Eagles fans and other teams coming there. There's we talked about this. There's actually a Eagles stadium jail.
Is there really?
Yeah, that you actually have a jail that you can get put into at the Eagles stadium if you're really bad.
Is it actually run by security and like it's actually like a?
Yeah. Oh
my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, like
that's how you know you're too. You guys need to calm down. You're too rowdy.
Yeah. No jail at Bronco at Mile High Stadium.
That's right. No John Elway, the John Elway commemorative jail.
Right, exactly.
Have you seen Elway lately? Look at this guy. He's looking pretty stately now. Have you seen him lately? Look at
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You guys have an on and off with old Elway? You're not feeling?
We didn't fully care for him when he was a Bronco. I mean, his record was great, and his playing was fantastic. But he's a little bit problematic.
Is he a bit of a bum, a poo-poo head?
A little bit of a poo-poo head.
No, I don't like poo-poo heads. I like the good old-fashioned good guys, There he is. Look at him. He looks like a guy's going to go, your car's parked too close to my yard.
He looks like what Anthony Michael Hall looked like 20 years ago.
You don't even want to see him now. It's really
You don't want to see Anthony Michael Hall now.
No, that's funny.
Edward steroid hands. But anyway,
I'd watch that.
how come? It's kind of funny. Like with all these reboots, Goonies now getting a sequel. Other Top Gun, of course, and other things that have gotten sequels recently from the 80s. How come we're not hearing about? Has John Hughes just locked things up so well that nobody feels safe trying to do a 16 Candles sequel where now Molly Ringwald's the mom to a 16-year-old?
This is a really good point. I've always wondered the same thing. Did he, what is it like when he left, it's all just locked down? When he died, it was all locked down so that nobody could do it? Or is it that everyone's just afraid to touch the material? And I think it's probably the latter, because I can't think of anything else from that era that is as beloved and feels as untouchable.
Yeah.
Like, how do you?
I can't imagine we've had Breakfast Club pseudo reunions. I saw one that just had Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, and Ali Sheedy, I think.
Yeah.
No Estevez and no Anthony Michael Hall. Oh, no, Anthony Michael Hall was there.
Oh, was he? Just Estevez wasn't there? Weird.
Just Estevez. Maybe Ali Sheedy wasn't. I just saw her in that Bratz thing. But it also doesn't seem like everybody wants to participate. Like that Bratz thing that Andrew McCarthy did.
Yeah.
You'd think that like all of the Breakfast Clubbers would want to participate and at least be part of it. But you really just got Estevez and Sheedy.
Yeah, it's probably complicated.
Oh, you did get Judd Nelson at the end.
Oh, was Judd Nelson in it? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
My guess is that it's complicated. It's like, we all think of that stuff in a certain way. And we have a kind of a collective cultural response to it. But they all grew up in it and are probably like,
they don't want to be tied to that forever and be, people going, hey, enjoy your Captain Crunch with dandruff.
Yeah. They haven't hit that Shatner level yet where they accept who they are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like at some point, Shatner fought Star Trek, fought it. And then he finally went, what? This is amazing. Why am I doing this? And now he's all in and he loves it. And, he never wanted any different. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe one day Emilio Estevez hits a point in his life. Well, I guess he was in that documentary, but they all hit a point in their life where like, oh yeah, it was culturally significant. Multiple generations saw this and, kind of called it their own. I saw it when I was 15. The target audience for that movie, when we were kids, we saw that and we were like, whoa, they're speaking directly to our generation. But my kids saw it and felt the same way when they were 15. Like it has this like permanence to it. So I think people are afraid to touch that stuff, man.
Perennial. Yeah. How would you do? All right, let's say Breakfast Club sequel has been greenlit and Scott and Brian have been hired to give a 10-second elevator pitch as to the story.
Oh gosh.
Is it because of varying circumstances, mistaken identity, a DUI, whatever, those same 5 people end up in jail and lock up together.
That's not bad. So they're old. So we actually hire the same cast, right? Same cast, people.
Right, exactly.
Everyone has a price, so we'd find a way to get them all involved. And you know what? I kind of like this.
Brian is there because of some phishing scam or like some identity theft thing that, They picked up the wrong Brian and they put me, oh, dude, you're looking buff. Have you been working out?
See, this would be the only, I actually kind of like what you could tell, the story you could tell once they're in there, but the coincidence is very difficult to just wave past. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how they all ended up there, you'd be like, this is a little too convenient. 40 years on, how did they all, whatever. But I don't know. I long for more in his film world. I want more. But I also understand why people think it's sacred ground and don't want to mess with it. Mm-hmm. I get it. I'd be afraid too if I was a writer or director. I'd be afraid. Oh,
for sure. There is so little like slim chance of victory that it would be just such a. It's that wheel in Murder Mystery Party where it's like, no, it's the other one. It's the game of awesome, the trivia game of awesomeness or whatever it is, where there's that little thin win space, and then everything else is skulls.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. It feels very hard to nail, but
Yeah. Amy in the chat said, better question, reboot Breakfast Club, but cast it with Frog Pants All-Stars.
Oh my Lord.
Nice.
Well, I'm sure they'd go for that.
One of them would be really easy. You could just, for the character of Claire, you just wouldn't have to change the name, just change the spelling.
That's right. And let's see, who else could we get in there? Okay, let's cast it with people we know here.
KT Data would be Brian.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's actually really good. KT Data is Brian.
Yeah.
Who's the jock? Who do we do for the jock?
Is it Jeff Sire?
Jeff Sire would be pretty good. Shane from yesterday. Shane Maddox would be pretty good.
Oh, Shane. Boy, he talk about being both the stoner and the jock, though.
Yeah, he could do either one. He really could.
He's both Bender and...
He's like one of those actors that showed, like Judd Nelson showed up for the jock role, but they gave him the stoner role. It's like that. Let's see. Who else? Who's the principal?
Maybe Bobby's your brain. Oh, who's the principal?
Yeah, who could be our principal?
Well, I think you're clearly the principal and I'm the janitor.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Janitor's more of a hero, though. The principal's a dick. Or am I thinking of Die Hard? Oh, it's the same actor, right?
No, same actor. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want... you know what? All right, I'll be principal. What is it, Werner or Werner? Whatever it is?
Vernon.
Werner Herzog, the principal.
Werner.
I love this movie. Show me the baby.
You've just earned yourself another day of detention, John Bender.
I mean,
and that's one more.
I'd take him in anything.
Another.
I would take him into anything. That guy, I'd love him. And then we can have a few of you be parents, like Claire's mom pulling up, dropping her off. Could be Amy or somebody.
Yeah, or Cleo.
Yeah, we got this all worked out. This is good.
That's not bad. Yeah, it was someone who just suggested. Amy just suggested Fletcher as the stoner. I like that actually.
Oh, that's pretty good. He'd actually get stoned for the role.
He would. Yeah. It's the method. He's so method, that guy.
Oh man, he gets all up in it. He's the Robert De Niro of our little crew here.
Amy says that she's been in therapy 14 years. She's definitely the basket case.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
You can be our basket case.
Who's going to eat their own dandruff or whatever she did?
Well, that would be Amy. Yeah, she's going to have to. She didn't eat her own dandruff. She drew a very beautiful pen drawing and then made it snow.
I know. I always conflate the sandwich with the hair.
When you say it, like she'd had her Captain Crunch and then she brushed her dandruff on it.
Yeah. I mean, she basically, here's the thing. That Captain Crunch thing definitely had dandruff in it. She didn't go into it, but I guarantee.
Sandwich.
Yeah, there are traces of dandruff in that food. I promise you. Oh, she was gross until she wasn't. But also, I have mixed feelings about her whole character arc, because it's like, what is the ideal? Like, to me, part of the ideal is she's weird and doesn't need to be there and is so strange. That's who I like. Having her get all prettied up and date the bad boy. It's like,
please the jock.
Or to please the jock. It's just like, like there's some things in there. But you know what? Those complications are true in high school.
How did he change for her? Oh, he didn't? Okay.
Oh, he didn't do anything? Great. He just wore that freaking sleeveless stupid wrestler shirt, and that was it? That's all he did? Great.
Yeah, and shattered a window with his screaming. Okay, all right.
Oh, that moment.
I know, it is a little bit of a like, oh man, this is like, it's a really serious thing going on here, and some really, intense and true to life kid topics. And wait, did he just shatter a window by screaming?
Every once in a while, I like to look at it. Every once in a while in John Hughes movies, Chevy Chase's sled comes out.
The sled, yeah.
That's a moment like that where it's just like, I don't know. I mean, when I saw it, I was 15. I was fine. I was like, okay, cool. He yelled and broke a thing.
It's the grease car flying away at the end, basically, is what it is.
Well, the jocks are in charge now, everybody. It's up to us nerd. Actually, there's a couple of nerds in charge, too. So,
yeah, a nerd who thinks he's a jock.
You know what it is? It might just be a man problem.
I'm glad you didn't have the camera on me for that.
Oh, I missed it. What'd you do? Show us again.
I said, and then a nerd who thinks he's a jock.
Oh, very good. You did like an X shape when you did that. So creative.
Yeah. So creative. Yeah.
All right. We got a call.
So I'm hurt.
We've been using that new call thing, And,
yeah. Oh, let's hear it.
Yeah, y'all have been using it, which is great. And we got this one. it's a question, and I'm happy to answer it. So here you go.
Hi guys, just wondering why am I getting 2 episodes on my YouTube feed from the morning stream? Thanks guys, love the show.
All right, here's why. And it's only temporary, but every day there is a live show that is public to everybody. The one that we're on right now, this is live and public. Anybody anywhere will see it pop in their feed. If you follow the channel or just it's algorithmically sent to you, you will see it. Then what happens when we're done, a new video goes up that is edited to be just the show from opening to close. And that one replaces this one, but this one, the live one stays. It just turns unlisted. So the unlisted video now goes to patrons who get access to the uncut version of the video. And so sometimes for brief moments, some people have 2 videos in their feed, but it shouldn't last very long. Now, if it's something we do like Playdate, you'll have two videos or you'll have the live video just is the video. We don't put up a second one. So there are exceptions to this where we don't hide the live one, but that's why you're seeing it. Is you'll occasionally see 2 videos, and just ignore it. It's just one's live and one's final.
One's to tape. Right?
Yeah, private versus public.
By the way, just a quick reminder, if you want to get your calls onto the show, they had to change the URL again, so now you got to go to voicechannel.com.org, and you actually spell out .com, so it's voicechannel, DOTCOM, and then a dot, and then org.
Don't listen to Brian. He is making that up. He's 100% making that up. I will say this though. After yesterday, he changed. He just did the fix to make it so the domain doesn't have to be lowercase or all caps.
That's good. It'll work in any case.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So if you go to, now you made me forget the actual new one. What is it?
It's voice.
Shit.
Voice.
It's not voice line. What happened?
VoiceCast.
VoiceCast. Thank you.
VoiceCast.
Voice line still works, but only temporarily while we do the transition. Anyway, it's voicecast.app/TMS. All right. If you guys want to send your thing. Like this call about naming your kids.
Hey, Scott and Brian. This is Nick from Western Mass. 2 questions for you. First, Brian, I know that your dad lives in Vermont, and I was just wondering if during any trips to visit him, you made it down to the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts. We're a great little section of the state, and if you haven't been, highly recommend it. I also know that we have a great newspaper, the Berkshire Eagle, and thought perhaps in your newspaper days you would visit it. Now, Scott, my question for you has to do with the namesake of your only son, also happened to be named Nick. My name is Nick as well. We've established this. So just wondering how you guys landed on his name and if it had anything to do with how my parents landed on mine, which happens to be based on the scene in A Sure Thing where John Cusack is sitting in the back of the car and tells his girlfriend that they're only going to name their son a name like Nick. Nick's your friend. Nick's your pal. He lets you throw up in the back seat and not clean it up. Anyways, that's all I had to ask. Thanks for the great show. Okay, bye.
All right, I have an answer to the second one, but Brian, tell me about your time up in.
I've never been to the Berkshires, and the Berkshire Eagle was a customer of ours, but I did not do that install, and I think because they were small enough, maybe the trainer must have done that one. But I absolutely remember the Berkshire Eagle, and I know Chris Brown, if you're listening, you probably can tell me all about the Berkshires, and he probably was the one who did the training and the install there.
You it sounds like you guys kind of had every paper. You had like a monopoly on all this.
We did. It was, I mean, over the course of the 20 plus years that I worked there. Wow.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Is that right?
I worked for a company that long. And
yeah.
That's a weird feeling to think about.
Started in 92.
Yeah.
And then it was at one of the Nerdtaculars that I got the text from when I was basically the last employee with the CEO, that I got a text from them saying they were shutting the company down.
Oh,
I say they because she has transitioned into a woman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
What an eventful 20 years you all had.
Never any indication when I worked with her that's what she wanted, but she seems extremely happy now, and that's super cool.
That's all you can ask for, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and it just always seems like there's every paper. You guys went everywhere. You had everyone.
We did. We really did have it seemed like we had every major paper in the U.S. A lot of that was thanks to deals with New York Times newspaper group, the Knight Ridder, Scripps, because we'd basically get in with the company, and then we'd get all 60 of their newspapers as clients, as customers. And so that made it really easy and gave us tons of little small ones to go along with the big ones.
Do you ever do SLC, the Tribune?
Oh yeah. I did that one. I did that install myself. I did both on the same trip because they were a JOA, the Deseret News and the Salt Lake City Tribune.
Yeah, same building, same printing, all that stuff.
Yeah, I came after the Olympics. No, before. Oh God, it was right around either right before or right after the Olympics.
02, so it would have been, let's see. Yeah, 02 was the Olympics, right?
02, so that'd probably be about right. And I thought it was so weird that when I went into a bar, I went to a restaurant and I wanted a drink, I had to join the club, which meant I had to just basically sign my name on a piece of paper saying I was now a member of their club.
Yep, that's all gone now, but at the time that was a thing, and you had every ad on the radio. So if you did a radio ad or TV ad for your local bar, it would be like you would normally expect from a bar. Come on Saturdays, see live bands. And at the end it would say something bar, member club members only. They had to put this thing in legally so that you would do it, and really all it was just walk in there and go. I'll be a part of your club. It's so dumb.
What is the bare minimum that we can do?
It's so stupid
to get to be cool with the law, but not impact our customers.
It's so stupid. It was like the dumbest legislation. Everyone here knew it. Even teetotaling, like anti-drinking people knew it. How stupid it was. It's just stupid. Yeah. Oh my gosh! But then I kind of miss it when I hear it on the radio now because no one does it anymore.
Yeah, because it was fun, a little fun.
Yeah, it's like we are a club. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not a freaking private club. You're just a place up the road.
Look at me. Yeah. I'm a member now of Outback Steakhouse, and I can have a wallaby. Yeah, a wallaby darned.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is it would apply to any kind of restaurant that served alcohol.
Exactly. Even a chain had to have members. And
welcome to the private club. What's it called?
Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, TGI Fridays, or whatever bullshit it was.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Anyway, I'm glad it's gone.
Anyway, all right, tell us about it's because you cut yourself shaving, like in Top Secret.
That was it. I cut myself. I said, oh, Nick, and then we named him that. No, here's how it went. So during his, we had trouble coming up with names ahead of the births. We just didn't settle on anything. It was always like, well, if it is indeed a girl, because with Carter we didn't know because the inconclusive scan, she was all turned around funny and they couldn't get a good look at her junk or anything or however that works. And so we didn't know on her until she was born. And in the case of Nick, it was kind of the same thing. We liked the name Harry or Harrison. So when he was born, for a hot second, we were like, this is going to be little Harrison. And then we went, wait a minute, we've just named our son Harry Johnson. We can't do that. So we didn't get as far as writing it down on the thing and having to pay to change it like we did with Taylor. But we definitely had this moment of, oh my gosh, you were almost Harry Johnson. So we changed the name, and Kim just really liked the name Nicholas. I don't have a good story. She just liked how it sounded. Nicholas Longform was kind of sounds like a full name. I'm Nicholas Longform.
Oh, it's Nicholas Longform.
But the Nick being shortened to Nick happened very quickly, even as a little dude. And I feel like no one ever goes, someone get Nicholas on the phone. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not nearly as cool. Like in Carter's case, she actually has a cool origin story. We were watching an episode of prior to her birth, again, not knowing her gender. We're watching this episode of The Outer Limits or something like that. And in there's a female lawyer named Carter. And we thought that was the coolest first name for a girl at the time. Mm-hmm. Didn't know any of them. And so we thought, well, that's unique and interesting. It sounds good. So we said, and even if she comes out with the stem on the apple, we can still call her Carter because that's Carter a boy's name.
Works, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's her origin, and that has a fun little TV, movie vibe. But in Nick's case, it's kind of boring. It was just like, Nicholas, that's all.
Tell us you did decide to make Longform his middle name, though. So it's Nicholas Longform Johnson.
I'm Nicholas Longform Johnson. But put the long in there, and then you still got Johnson. There's always trouble.
You still got problems. Or advantages, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we may as well have been last name penis here at this house. I don't know what our deal is.
Harrison Ford recently, by the way, speaking of the name Harrison, he was on Kimmel recently promoting Captain America. And it's always like the two of them have such a great friendship, and you have to look for little signs of it, because it almost looks like Harrison is just irritated to hell with Jimmy Kimmel. But you see these little flashes like, yeah, these guys are really good friends.
Yeah.
But they were talking about, when he started acting, even before Apocalypse Now, like doing early bit stuff, that for his SAG card there was already a Harrison Ford, so he couldn't be Harrison Ford on the SAG card. He had to be Harrison J. Ford or something like that. Had to use his middle initial. And then when that Harrison Ford finally passed away, some old Western dude was Harrison.
I was going to say,
Ford,
do we know who that is? I guess it's some old school something.
Some old school dude. And so as soon as that guy passed away, then the Harrison Ford we know and love got to remove the middle initial and be the Harrison Ford which makes me wonder if who's an actor who uses their middle initial.
Well, it's like
Samuel
the actors.
Jackson.
Oh yeah, that might
was
be.
There
a
already
Sam
a Samuel Jackson, so he couldn't.
It sounds like one.
It does, yeah.
It would be like we were talking about Paul Anderson and Paul W.S. Anderson yesterday. It's probably a similar situation.
Oh yeah,
they're directors, but probably had to do it. One of them had to do it. Michael B. Jordan, maybe.
Right. Well, yeah.
But that feels more like he's differentiating himself from the basketball star.
From the basketball player, sure.
Yeah, could be wrong. B.D. Wong, I don't know.
Murray Abraham.
F. Murray Abraham. Yeah, what if there's a Murray Abraham and he was like, get out of here.
Right.
F.
Right.
It's like, fine, I'll put an F there. I was going to say something about something. What was it? Oh, we did do this thing when the kids were little. So if I needed Nick and Carter to stop fighting or arguing, or, hey, it's time to get in the car and leave, or whatever it was, and I needed to round those two up, I would go, international music superstar Nick Carter, get in the car.
Nice.
That was a really dumb dad joke, but I used to do it all the time. Drove them nuts.
I would too. Yeah, I would absolutely do that too.
CCH Pounder's another good one.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, maybe.
Charlie XCK or XCX.
XCX. No, well, Charlie XCX was her Xbox avatar name. It was just Charlie Kiss.
No way, really?
Yeah, Charlie Kiss C Kiss. And
so
she
I love
just
that.
used that for. Yeah.
I love that. You go to the big time in music and you just carry forward your freaking...
your Xbox handle.
Your gamer tag from Xbox. Amazing.
The guy in the box is the original. The photo I just sent you, the guy in the box is the original Harrison Ford.
Let me see here. I want to show everybody.
1920s silent screen leading man.
Wait, where'd you put it? Oh,
in our Discord.
Oh, sorry, I was in the wrong window. There it is. Yeah. Oh, which guy? The guy in the thing or the guy
in the box?
Okay.
Yeah. It's Harrison Ford.
You're right about how old school. Jeez Louises.
Yeah. He left films in 1932 due to the arrival of sound.
Oh, shit. He sounded like...
Because he sounded like this.
Hey, you guys.
How come I'm Harrison Ford?
How come I'm not getting cast in your films? What's going on? Yeah, that happened to a lot of actors back then.
Yeah.
They just bailed.
Do talkies. Yeah.
Well, that's funny. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Harrison Ford, the only worry... Okay, I'm going to just tell you a little worry I have about Harrison Ford. He's kicking ass right now, right? Doing lots of roles. That show on Shrinking's amazing. He's so good.
So good.
I liked him a lot as Thunderbolt Ross in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
I love... yeah. Okay, won't say anything else. Yeah.
He was real good. And he's perfect for that kind of like temperamental... He has always been good at that, right? That's kind of
that cranky.
This sword belongs in a museum, Dad. That whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing I'm worried about, so he's in his early 80s, whatever he is. Mm-hmm. His ears currently extend out about 2 inches more than they than anyone I've ever seen in my life. And in this movie, it's very prominent. And I don't exactly know what it is. Obviously, our bodies change as we age. Mine's changed in lots of ways. Sure. But like there's something about them being stalked way out, almost like there's tunnels now between the skull and a 2-inch tunnel to the ears.
Like one of those umbilical hallways.
Yeah.
To get from his skull to his ears.
Yeah, like in E.T. when they shut the house down and have to crawl through those things. And
yes, exactly.
And it's again, it's no shade. It's just what we get weird. But usually old guys, their ears droop or get the bigger lobes or the ears enlarge or whatever.
And he's got that too. He's got the big lobes going.
Yeah, he's got that going. But for some reason, it's like out and then down. It's like a coming off the bone weird. Anyway, when you all see it, you won't be able to unsee it. So you're welcome.
Yeah. Just picture Callista Flockhart nibbling on those ears.
I mean, I do that every night. So
so it helps me go to sleep.
That's how I sleep. Anyway, keep those calls coming. You want to go to voicecast.app. Yeah, you know me.
I was waiting for it.
/TMS and send us your voicemails. You can use your phone. You can use whatever. It doesn't care. You don't have to log in. You don't have to do anything fancy. You just record and send, and that's it. Easy. Easy peasy. Quick note that I hope Bobby's listening. Is he in the chat?
Don't forget this question you got a call question for Brian, or was that also the call?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I did skip it. I didn't mean to. I have a third question. This one's for Brian. You're right. Here goes. This one, to this person, I would say maybe your microphone's a little weird, but I'll get to hear it.
This is for Brian on the morning stream. Now that it's far in on the pop culture Jeopardy, does Brian think that his team would have done well? I've been watching it, and a lot of the questions are very current pop culture, but streaming shows I've never heard of, musical acts I've never heard of. I'm wondering if Brian's team would have done well. Peace out.
Okay. You've been watching that?
I have been watching
Colin Jost thing or whatever it is. Is it Colin Jost?
It is
Colin Jost, right?
It is Colin Jost. Yeah. And my God, the sarcasm and quick wit of freaking Colin Jost. Man, he is hilarious on that thing. His delivery of questions is always kind of the same. It's like da 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 da. Like it always finishes with a da 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 with his tone. Yeah. But I love it. Yeah. No, it's such a good question because I would have been the youngest person on my team by about 5 years, and we all know how old I am and how little I know about Skibbity Toilet and things like that. So usually on every board, I think I could probably do, and this is not a flex or anything like that. About 2/3 of the board I could probably do on my own.
Yeah. I don't think that's a flex. That sounds about right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that but that remaining third would not have been stuff that my much older teammates would have been. Not much older. Sorry, Mark Whalen. My older teammates would have done well with.
Is it? How far back do they dip in pop culture? Is it current day?
I mean, they go back this far. I mean, they go back to, like, there was a Mary Tyler Moore question. There was, stuff in there that's older.
Okay.
But I would say the average question topic is in the 90s to early 2000 or to mid 2000s.
Okay. They're playing to that millennial, the millennial crowd a little bit.
They are, yes.
Nothing wrong with that. The 90s was full of great trivia, 80s too. But I was just curious if it was just like today only. TikTok was founded by such and such name. What's his wife's dog's title? It's like,
exactly.
derp. I wouldn't know some of those things. But.
Yeah, no, there was, we would have needed somebody. There's a guy that we occasionally play with named Jason, and Jason would have been the perfect addition to the team. I don't know who, maybe me. I don't know who we would have subtracted to put Jason in there, but having Jason in there would have been the unstoppable thing because he is much younger and very focused on current stuff for trivia knowledge. Jason is one of these. Jason is this incredibly smart dude. He's a substitute teacher. but his goal is to be on Jeopardy. But he doesn't want to try out for Jeopardy, even though he's already brilliant. But he doesn't want to try out for Jeopardy until he feels like he has mastered the topics that frequently seem to come up. So what he does, this is not an exaggeration, he will do a month on AFI movies from the 1960s.
Yeah.
He will do a month on the periodic table, and just in all of his free time, he will spend learning about the periodic table, memorizing the periodic table, watching AFI movies from the 60s, and he's got a book that he keeps track of everything. Like, he is doing this with the sole intent that he will be on Jeopardy. And my God, when he gets on there, look for James Holzhauer levels of mastery.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I think that's cool,
Yeah.
except you could get into this rut of prep and never
but-
go, you know?
But learning all that stuff it's not like it's wasted knowledge.
No.
Academic knowledge of chemicals and
it's
movie history and
useful
things
no matter
like
what.
that.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not the marble problem I have where you can't get more marbles in.
Right. He just basically clears out all the other marbles and focuses on one marble a month and just really learns that marble. And then finishes with that marble and moves on.
This
to
goes
another
well with Wendy's whole thing of focus on one marble at a time.
Yeah.
Don't try to do a whole bowl of marbles all at once. Focus on the marble in the moment you're looking at the marble, and then move to the next marble. Perhaps my straw would extend and accept more marbles if I did that.
Exactly. You can extend your straw. Your straw can get bigger as you get older as you get older, Scott, instead of smaller.
See, and it brings us all back to the point that my daughter Taylor married a guy named Straw. So it's all come
There
full
you
circle.
go. It all comes full circle.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how many marbles he can eat.
Series of tubes.
Well, anyway, that's fantastic. Thank you for noticing. I missed that call because I scrolled past it, and I don't know how.
Oh, no worries. Look, I was dreading. I was thinking it was going to come from a little vinyl who has been questioning everything I say. Well, Brian, I don't know if your dentist really, I'm not a dentist, but that whole root scaling thing seems a little sus to me, like a way to line their pockets.
There's always somebody.
I don't know about that whole drinking tequila causing problems with your sleep thing. I don't know about that.
Yep.
Or I don't know about that whole K-Rock thing, Brian. It's like, okay, a little vinyl. I get it. Like,
Sure.
I'm fine tooth combing through your filter. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to talk to you about anything I say after the show.
You sure a free hotel room isn't doubling as somebody else right now in our
Might
lives?
be. Now that you say that, a little vinyl and a free hotel room seems like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it does. Every hotel room, especially the free
There's a
ones,
little vinyl.
has a little vinyl in it. That's awesome. All right. This email is Bobby related. I don't know. I still haven't seen Bobby in here, so I'll just read it and he'll hear it when he hears it.
Yeah.
It's about that asteroid business, and this came to us. This may have been a text. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is from somebody with no name, and they said, I thought Scott's question to Bobby about couldn't the odds of an asteroid go up, meaning increase the likelihood that 2% one was going to hit us. Easy with your 2% jokes, chat room. Easy with those. Okay? You've had your fun. All right.
Yeah.
Move on from that. Anyway, because my whole take was, well, if it gets closer and they know more about it, he said, well, the odds go down. And I thought, well, no, the more you know, they could go up. They could go down or they could go up, either one.
Exactly. Depending on, it's actually more likely than we thought. Or, nope, it's less likely than we thought as it gets closer.
Exactly.
The models,
And he seemed to think, like I did, that Bobby was like, no, they go down. That's what he said. Now, whether that's what he meant, that's why I was hoping he was here. He could say. But anyway, he says, I thought that was a really good question. I'm surprised Bobby dismissed it so quickly. Time for you guys to run some new, completely inaccurate LLM comparisons. I mean, I don't deny that those were horrible. They were very bad.
Some of them were right on the money, and Tanner even posted a couple like, here's the actual percentage of rolling 2 6s, and it's like 3%, really close.
Yeah,
it's 1 in 36.
It's a lot close. It was close, but it wasn't like the list presented itself like 2% down the line. It was like not
the
quite
Wolfgang
that.
thing was like, what are even the chances of somebody naming their kid Wolfgang?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Who determines how off the wall a name is? By mentioning naming your kid Wolfgang, didn't you just increase the chances of somebody naming their kid Wolfgang?
Yeah. I'll bet there's more. I'll bet Okay, I'm going to make a bet. I'm not saying this is 100% probable, but I think in the next 10 years, there will be more kids named Wolfgang because it does
all the
sound.
Van Halen fans.
Yeah, but also it does sound kind of cool for a little kid like Wolfgang. Put your sister down. You know,
that's right.
I don't mean put her down.
It was Eddie Munster's middle name, so why not?
Yeah, why not? Indeed. I mean, he's back
Wolfgang
in vogue. Anyway, he sent us this.
Yeah.
Chance of City Killer Asteroid 2024 YR4, this is the one we talked about, smashing into Earth rises again to 3.1% according to NASA. It went up!
Mm-hmm.
Since we just talked, it went from 2% to 3.1% likelihood of hitting us. So, Bobby, what say you? Oh, he is in the chat. I see him in there now.
He says, I thought you were just asking about asteroid impact predictions in particular. I was clarifying why the predictions for asteroids always end up going up first and then drop.
Right. And I think that makes sense. And I like your excuse, Bobby. It's totally great. I love it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, this emailer knows what's up.
Mm-hmm. It's a percentage.
It's a percentage.
It's what's up.
Anyway. Thanks for that. Brian, you're going to go wine tasting today, and I am dying to know where in Colorado in the winter you go for a wine tasting. I guess it doesn't matter.
And I'll be really quick about this because I know we got to get to the Indian in the Middle song and then all the other stuff we got going on today. But so a while back, and we even talked about on the show, pre-Christmas, we were talking about looking for one of those tests that you took in high school to help you figure out what jobs would be right for you. Because Tristan was kind of struggling. He's like, I'm kind of happy doing what I'm doing, but he knows it's not a permanent life career kind of thing.
Sure.
So I found one of these tests, and I found one that was Stanford College based. So it's like, all right, this isn't some hokey jobs.com quiz kind of thing. And he did the test, and coming out of it, it gave him a list of potential careers that worked with the kind of choices he made: working inside versus outside, interacting with the public, not interacting with the public, what kind of like late hours, evening hours, or daytime hours, or solo or with a group kind of thing.
Sure.
And the one that spoke to him out of the list of like 10 or 15 positions that it talked about was sommelier.
Oh, all right.
Which is the person who, and as you know, the person at a restaurant who will answer your questions about wine, recommend a pairing to go with whatever meal you're having, that sort of thing. Not a job that a lot of people say, when I grow up, I want to be a sommelier, but it was something that kind of spoke to Tristan. And Claire asked the very good question: does he drink a lot of wine? Not a lot. No, turns out, but he's kind of fascinated by it. And so we're kind of starting him off with like, all right, well, let's see, this is one of those things that you would do as a sommelier, is host wine tastings and things like that. I was joking with Barry the other day, who's actually going through a course at the San Francisco Wine Academy. He's taking his test. Wish him good luck, everybody.
Oh my gosh, this was the next step in his evolution, man.
It is, right. He's going to be actually a licensed cork dork, basically, is what. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But no, he's going for his level 2 certification, and dude's bringing 36 bottles with him to Vegas, by the way. Like gosh,
how's he doing that? What do you do when you do that? Do you bring a giant crate? Or?
You just truck you bring a crate the size of the Lost Ark.
Holy shit.
The top men are looking at her. Or guiding. But anyway, so good luck, Barry. I know he's going to kill it. The dude knows his wine. I was joking with him that I blindfolded, I could probably say, this I think is a red.
Yeah, I think this is, just by looking at it, I'm going to say this is a red wine. And that's about as much as I could do as well. I'd say, this tastes like dirt. I think this is wine. And now looking at it, it's red. So I think it's a red wine. Yeah.
This one tastes like an empty glass. So I'm going to say empty glass on this one. Anyway, so Ballasteri Vineyards, we have a winery here in Colorado. They're actually known for cherry wine as much as they are for their other wines, but it's a vineyard. They cask and cork and all that stuff. Their wines there, and we're doing like a little like 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 15 to 20 wine tasting today.
Nice. And at the end of all this, there's you just learn some stuff. Do they give you like a bottle to take with? Like
you can buy a bottle. There's no souvenirs from the thing. You could maybe ask for an empty bottle, but they're not going to give you a bottle of their wine. But you get a little tour of their casking and corking room and all that stuff. Barry and I got that tour when we did this wine tasting. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Maybe I'll record a little video or something and send it to folks. But should be fun. I'm gonna try and do more like identifying the individual components and like, oh yeah, he says that there's a little bit of a currant flavor in this one, or a little bit of a dark chocolate flavor in this one. I'm gonna taste for it basically.
That's interesting. You'll have to tell me how that goes, because the way it goes for me, it's just like I get slammed with the dirt taste, and then it's hard for me to then go to break through it and go, yes, but just behind that is the earthy tone of a mushroom or whatever. I can't do it. I don't know how to do it.
For me, the description for me, it's funny you get a dirt thing, and I totally get it. Everybody's physiology is different, and the flavor that it registers. For me, before I figured out a really good way to describe it, it's like tasting a very dark purple.
Oh,
this is
weird.
what I imagine dark purple to taste like.
That's wild. A color, interesting.
A color, like this tastes just like a smooth, comfortable color surrounding everything surrounding you. A dark purple.
Stephanie says Scott has had wine ? It was from it was from him from Barry. Barry.
Do you have the photo? Do you want one?
Oh, I probably do. Do you have that one handy? I don't know if I have it handy.
I could probably pull it up really quick.
It's actually a great shot of me at the table. I like it.
It really is.
I look like a serious like auteur in there, even though it tasted like dirt and I didn't know what I was doing.
Let's see how good. Yeah. Gotta love Apple Photos and their search. I type drinking wine, and here's what comes up.
Let's see what
I don't
you
even
got.
type Scott drinking wine.
Let's see what you got here. I'm pulling it up. There we go. Oh yeah, here I am tasting it. Look at my hand. That's how I sleep, by the way. That's why my hand gets numb all the time. So I'm always bending it right there at the wrist. But there you go. There's me tasting wine. Now, you might look at it and go, "Oh, is Scott just chugging that down?" No,
it's a sippy sip.
And it just doesn't. I'm even dressed the color of the wine. Like, look at me. I look like I'm there on purpose.
You kind of are, yeah.
I just don't know what it is with me and wine, but I'm willing to learn. Like, if he's bringing a crate or whatever he's doing this year, I'll give it another shot. I'm open to try to understand the cultural machinations of why people are so into their wines. You know.
Yeah.
And I love Bobby, Bobby. I like you too, Bobby, but I really like Barry.
We love Barry as well.
Yeah, Barry and Bobby are great.
I got to send you this one because it came up in that same search, so I just got to send you this one because what a great photo of these two kids.
Oh, I love this. So for those who hear Brian's impression all the time of James, this is James and Svet right here.
That's right.
And Svetlana continues to grow in her beauty. Svetlana, sorry. Yep. She grows in her beauty each day.
Yeah.
James.
I love the hair color too. It's just so.
Yeah.
Great.
James is going down the path of the Galifianakis line of aging.
It kind of is, right?
Yeah. And I like it.
Yeah,
I'm here for the whole thing.
Basically, you could kind of imagine a baby strapped to his chest wearing sunglasses.
Yeah. Yeah. We love these guys, though. They're great. We've never.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. Lighting here is a little harsh, but yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
You guys don't even know. You don't know how accurate it is. You don't understand unless you've met him. You don't get it. I hate that they don't know. We need him to call in and just talk so I can show people and give them a comparison. They'll just think it's you. All right, we're going to take a break. Anyway, when we come back from this break, we will talk to Wendy. My sister will be here. We got an email. We got all the stuff. So come back here shortly in a moment. Brian, let's play a song. What do you got?
I've got something that I just love. This is a band called the Oracle Sisters, a trio. but they're not really sisters. It's Julie Johansson, Chris Willett, and Louis Lazar. They're Paris-based three-piece band. The Oracle Sisters feels like a Harry Potter thing.
Oh, it totally does. Totally does.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds like anything like fantasy. Like, we're not able to open the portal. What do we do? We need to talk to them.
Call in the Oracle Sisters. Yeah. Anyway, this is their brand new album. It's called Divinations. Dude, this whole album, everything that I've heard is great. This is like, and for those who wonder when I was talking about power pop, this is very power pop, or this is more like a French power pop. This was originally, by the way, written on a toy Casio keyboard by the Shoreline.
Oh my Lord, that's amazing.
Yes. This is the song Blue Left Hand, not to be confused with Red Right Hand by by your what's his face I don't know. Peaky Blinders dude. Whose name?
Main guy?
He was in a band called The Birthday Party. No, not actor, but oh my God, all I can think of is Paul Kelly right now, and I know it's not Paul Kelly. Anyway, don't worry about that. Blue Left Hand is the song. Oracle Sisters is the band. Divinations, Nick Cave. Thank you, Free Rangers. Could not pull Nick Cave out of my head. Oracle Sisters is the band. Divinations is the album. Let's hear it.
I got this thing when somebody shows up on my doorstep screaming my name. I want to know why. Call it a quirk.
Every girl on campus just turned to jelly when he passed by.
Hey, Brian, who was that musical treat again?
That was Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. No, just kidding. That was Oracle Sisters from the brand new album Divinations and a song called Blue Left Hand.
Nice. If you got a blue left hand, go get that looked at. It's a little weird. Nobody wants a blue left hand.
That's when you sleep on it because you curl it under you like when you're drinking wine.
I did that last night. I woke up at like 3 a.m. Both my hands were numb because I was holding them like this. So stupid. I don't know why I do that.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Wendy. Hello. Oh, wait. Here's your thing.
Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Purely psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Lie down on the couch.
Lie down on the couch and chicken porn. Hey, Wendy, what's going on?
I like it. Hey, guess what? I wake up with numb hands all the time too.
Yeah, it's
you
a
do
Johnson
that same thing where you like bend it in the wrong way and
yeah.
You do that?
It's weird.
We all tuck it under like this, like a comfort thing or something.
Yeah.
I blame my mom.
Do it.
Yeah. It's my mom. She did something in the womb to us. I don't know what, but something.
Yeah.
But lately, coinciding with certain world events, I feel like I've done it more lately. So I gotta get some. I gotta get some
curling
braces.
on in, trying to feel safe.
Yeah.
Fetal position, sure.
Yeah. I sleep like a baby, but I don't mean well. I mean like
Not
in the
a good
position.
way.
Yeah. I sleep in a fetal position. Anyway, hey Wendy, it's good to have you here. It's my sister, real therapist, helps people with real problems all the time, and comes on here and does that same thing for you guys out of the goodness of her heart. And we're going to read an email today. Is there anything you want to say before we get cranking on this?
Yeah, I got a funny story.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Tell it.
We love funny stories on this show.
We do.
I'll tell you a funny story. Something that hasn't really happened to me before. So when you said I'm a real therapist, that has taken me years to sort of self-identify as. I know that sounds really weird. I've been doing it for 25 years. You really would think I'd be used to the label. Sure. I just don't necessarily love labels, I guess. I don't know. It's just a weird
You and Beyonce.
However, we've come a long way in the sort of stigma of therapy. So I wonder if that's related because, from the 90s where you're like, oh, something's wrong with you if you're in therapy, right?
Yeah.
So the other night I'm doing this fun service project with a bunch of people. We're fundraising for something. It's like all the things I'm going to tell you guys about today to do is like I'm putting my money where my mouth is to like really make sure your own communities are doing well. Anyway, it's super fun. And there was a lady there who was pregnant. She's got a 3-year-old at home and she's got another baby. And she says to me, and this has never happened. She's like, I would like you to tell me everything. Tell me everything I should do. Don't leave anything out. And I'm like, I just met this person, by the way. Let me just be clear.
Sure.
And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? She goes, also, could you help me name the baby? I'm like, what is happening right here? And clearly she's like a little overwhelmed in life and was just like, I don't even care. I just need a name. I can't think of one. Anyway, so we start talking and it's a group of us putting stuff together. And so we start talking about what our kids will say in therapy when they're older versus what we would say in therapy from our parents, right?
Sure.
Anyway, it was just a very, I don't know, I just had a moment where I went, look at all of us unafraid of this.
Yeah.
And it's just a real shift. And that was the thing we were talking about, is how for a lot of, middle-aged folks, they're just like, I mean, it feels like indulgence to spend time talking about yourself, or, other people need it, or I'm not that bad, or I don't know, kind of whatever that mentality is, right? And it goes a little into what our email has to say, actually.
Sure.
Anyway, versus 20-year-olds who are like it's water, healthcare, food, and therapy feel like their basic rights. They just really are into it. Anyway, so I said this to her, and the whole room about died. I just said, yeah, okay, so most people your age are complaining to their therapists about how neglectful their parents were, sort of emotionally unavailable, still struggle with that. And I said, and your kids are going to complain that your emotional availability was actually anxiety, and that's going to be their issue, is that how anxious and micromanaging their parents were. And she's like, oh no. And all the people in the room were like, oh no. It was just a very fun, I don't know. It was great. I had a good time. And it relates to what we're talking about today. So when you read the email, I have a couple, you would send me that. I had that experience, and I just kept thinking yeah, it's different for everyone at different stages. And as we sort of spend time online and listen to each other from various sort of viewpoints, you sort of realize everyone vibes differently around different things.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what makes us unique, right? I would. You all right? You drop a little something. You okay? Everything all right?
Drop my glasses.
Ah, fantastic.
Oh no.
I didn't know you. I thought you were the only one of us that didn't need glasses. Is that not true? Or I guess now
I
you're.
do now.
Well, you do now because you're old. Yeah, that's true.
She doesn't need them. That's why she drops them.
Yeah, but it's always
exactly. They're in my hair 90% of the time.
But you're always so far behind me. Like when we were kids, I had big old Coke bottle glasses, and Wendy had none. And I was like, well, that sucks. I mean, you had your ovary thing, but whatever. And then later, I turned early. That's true.
Apples to apples.
Yeah, my ovaries are doing great. I get to older age. I'm like 40 something, and I get cataracts early for no good reason.
That's crazy.
Of course, Wendy doesn't, and she's still not wearing glasses then. Well, now finally, you're catching up to my childhood years. So you've still got 100 years ahead of you. You're going to be fine. Everything will be great. All right, here we go. I'm going to now get on this here. Let's read this.
Okay.
To Wendy, Scott, and Brian, somebody we're going to call R from California. Short version, for someone struggling with increased anxiety, stress, and possible depression, which type of behavioral health professional should I reach out to? And now here's the long version. We'll get more into the weeds here. I've been struggling with intense anxiety and stress for a few years now. I'm a couple of months away from my 50th birthday, and until recently, I always considered myself optimistic, happy, and emotionally even-keeled. While the COVID years may have contributed to some of my acute anxiety at the time, the recent political stress is certainly playing a role now. I believe there's something deeper going on. My wife and I have been married for nearly 11 years. She's aware of what I'm experiencing and wants to help, but she doesn't know how. We used to be an occasional occurrence, and now has become a daily struggle. Difficulty catching my breath, trembling, nonsensical feelings, and impending doom. Rapid heart rate, etc. My fear is that this road may lead to a depression, and I don't feel I have the tools to course correct on my own. I want to reach out to mental health professionals for help, but I also want to avoid medication if possible. I feel that with the right guidance, I can navigate my way through this without the use of prescription drugs. That's why I'm writing. I don't know where to start. In my online research, I've come across psychologists, psychiatrists, marriage and family therapists, clinical social workers, and enough acronyms to make my head spin. But where should I begin? No worries if you don't get to this question on TMS. I'm sure it'll ultimately find my way, but any suggestions from you would be greatly appreciated. And then here's a very nice note for us. And thank you, Scott and Brian. I am fortunate enough to work from home, so I can listen to you most days. You two, along with Wendy and all of your guests, have become familiar and comforting voices in my mornings. I am very grateful. Smiley face, says R from California.
Yeah, but apparently we're not enough. Thanks a lot,
not
R.
near enough. We're just get you so far, and then you need a bigger hit. No, it's very nice of you to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Wendy, this is so interesting because my anxiety of I had really bad anxiety in, let's say, the year 04 through about 2015, I would say, is my most anxious years. And I don't know why, they just were. And when I mean anxious, I mean like full-blown panic attacks. I think I talked to you a bunch about that stuff back then.
Yeah.
I don't really have those anymore, but instead it's more of like a seething kind of pissy thing. And at night, I don't know if I'd call it full-blown depression, but there are times at night where I'm just like, everybody don't talk to me. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to wallow in my hoo-ha. When I'm having a bad night or whatever, it's not like every night's like that. But this really felt familiar, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so I have to think, if it feels familiar to me, this feeling he's going through and this sense of where he's at in his life and that it's all heading towards something bad, that has to be common, right? People all feel this way in some way or another, whatever it may be that is, you know, acting as the stimulus for it. So anyway, let's talk about what we want to do for R and anyone else who's feeling, you know, like he is.
Yeah. And there is this is such a great email because it's showing like a trajectory from someone, right? So there are going to be folks who have struggled with these feelings and these experiences from really early ages. And so there is some, like, they're used to it. I remember a friend of mine, when the run on toilet paper happened in March of 2020, she went into a Target with her husband and said, "You see how everyone looks right now?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's how I feel all the time." And he was like, "What?" Like, no idea what that would be like unless you had, you know, here is this outward manifestation of it that she's been feeling since she was a kid. And so if that is not your experience, you know, here's a person just living life, but feels pretty panicky all the time. They're used to it. There's strategies they've used. It's nothing new. This friend of ours is showing us this like shift, right? And that can happen. And so, Scott, if we could go back in time in 2004 and, you know, take a snapshot of everything going on in your life and a full medical evaluation, we might find some things that were off and needed some course correcting, and we could understand it or whatever. But most people, no one stops and goes, "I feel odd for 2 days. I'm going to investigate." It builds. You start to have certain strategies that you're using to survive it. And those strategies sometimes are making it all worse. You just don't know it. You're just trying to survive, right?
Yeah.
So there's a great example of like how this can come on. And noted, you know, I love a good midlife conversation, but this age is the perfect time for something like this to happen. You were a little young. How old were you in 2004, by the way?
What was I? 33, 34? Yeah.
Oh, you were young.
There were some extenuating circumstances. It didn't feel like a midlife to me. It was more like a
no.
You know, I had little kids and everything. It kind of came out of nowhere though, and it sucked. It freaking sucked.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. And so here he is a little later having this happen, and it is more common in later years or midlife years. And some of that is for biological reasons, and then some of it is just like the stage of life reasons. So that I've mentioned biology a couple times, and so he didn't say this in the email, but I would love for him to get this checked out. Is I would do a full medical evaluation, find a doctor you think is cool, and ask him to look at everything, including how is your endocrine system functioning, what are your hormone levels, just like an overall, what's your thyroid look like, all of the basics. Often those wellness checks, right, those will have things like what's your cholesterol and, you know, HA1C, you know, like they're looking at biometric markers for different disease and, you know, cancer screening and all that stuff is great. But there is a bunch of things that can happen in our bodies that will start to cue up these sort of biological responses that are anxious, right? Yeah. So like he described difficult catching your breath, trembling, impending doom, rapid heart rate, some of those things, right? Yeah. So you can have a biological cause for some of those suddenly. And so I would just check to make sure that's all of that is not what's happening. Also, if you switch medications, could have these consequences pretty easily, depending on what combination. So I would work through that. Maybe he already has. He is mentioning he does not want medication. So whenever I hear that, when someone is like, I need help, but don't put me on meds, it's usually because they don't know how this whole thing might work. And that's obviously the question. So we're going to walk through how it works and what to expect. So I would get an appointment and then we'll go together. In fact, Scott, I don't know if you can do it live or have people can do it with us, but we're going to go through specifically how to find someone who would be a good fit for him to talk to.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with this idea, though, that there is a biological thing to just rule out and or confirm something might be going on. So set that appointment. You got to get in now because, or hurry. Sometimes you have to wait around for that.
Y'all are busy right now. I've noticed.
I know.
There's a lot of, like even blood
It's
panels.
rough.
My doctor says she's like overwhelmed with blood panel appointments. It's crazy.
I believe it.
Right, right. So get on that first. Let's do that. Okay, so he mentioned something about he's afraid the road he's on is going to lead to depression. And what's really, he's right. That's exactly where this leads. And I'd ask a lot more questions about what else is happening, right? What are circumstances that are causing more stress, or, what are other factors leading to this? And that's obviously the therapist can help you go through that. So there's a biological component. There is the extenuating circumstances component. And sometimes because you're just living your life, you are not aware how much cortisol is shooting through your system or how stressed you've actually become. And then you're having symptoms and they can feel like, oh, they just started, but we're building up to the impending doom and racing heart rate stuff with our amount of stress. So working through, and you're going to think, oh, this is my normal life and my normal job. And someone with perspective would go, are you kidding? Like, this is not okay, the way life is, happening. So people aren't always aware of how things are affecting them. So that's another component. So we have biological, we have external stuff, and then we have what can just be some of that internal stuff going on of like the dread of life, the difficulty of whatever situation we're in, the fear for future stuff. Obviously, COVID and now this new nightmare we're all living is very much like having a constant stressor on top of your work stress or your family stress or whatever. And it's sort of on everyone's shoulders. So I'll tell you some ideas of ways to handle that. But that is another factor here. And then your body is doing the right thing. Your body is freaking out because you're not doing the things that are going to help it feel safe. So it has moved into its sympathetic nervous system, which is to freak out and to get your attention and scare you and pay attention, etc. And remember, how many words does your body have to tell you something's not right? Well, it has a rapid heart rate. It can tremble, and it can be hard to breathe. It doesn't have necessarily other tools to let you know, but it will let you know that like we're not okay and something is off. So our job would be to figure out what the things are that are off and need remedy. And all of this is before anyone should talk to you about taking medication. Mm-hmm. Medication is typically, once you've figured out a bunch of these different things, you'll either have relief starting because we're realizing what it is and what we can do about it, or you will have tried some things and seen no progress and it gets worse, or you just really need some help. Then a conversation about medication is appropriate. And medication, this is a very common conversation I have with people. I'm terrible at even taking a vitamin. So I get it. I don't want to. I get that you don't want to. But what happens is sometimes people think, well, I guess this is forever, or now I'm dependent, or this must mean I'm broken. I mean, those are very, very common phrases I hear from people. Yeah. And I always like to remind people, it's like a test run. You're going to put more serotonin in your brain so you feel a little better and you have the energy to do the things that are going to help actually reduce your stress and help your body not have to respond this way. And then you can get off it. Like, that's very common. I think some people think it's like a life sentence, and especially in his case, this is maybe something that at this stage of life is going to be necessary or not. I don't know. But, there are steps before medication, but I understand the tendency to not want to or to think about it. But just know that is one of the many tools that, can really help people.
Sure.
And that's if they still exist after, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an underground railroad for a lot of things, and one is going to be antidepressants.
Sign me up. Let me know when.
There's so many underground needs. It's terrible.
I'm going to start calling you Harriet Stubman or a different name, something like that.
It'd be Harriet just with a little heart over the eye.
Yeah. There you go. A little accent. I like that.
End it with an I. Harry.
Harriety.
Yeah. Okay. So let's walk through a couple things that how to find someone to help you. Well, actually, let's do the how to reduce your overall stress with the current environment. If you're an American, you live in, and if you're literally anyone in the world, you're also really freaked out by this. Believe me, I've talked to quite a few people outside this country who are like, help. I'm like, I can't, it's not my fault, but I don't know. Anyway, it's tricky. Everyone's stressed. Okay. So let's talk about just a little bit about what might be helpful for folks with that. And Scott and Brian, I'm going to use you as guinea pigs for a second.
Be our guest.
How, and maybe you have to, be honest with yourselves here. How much time and do a time equals energy equation in your head. So it might be 5 minutes of reading.
Yeah.
5 minutes of reading, but it just drops you into the pit of despair, and you spend the next half hour complaining to your wife about the end of times. Okay. So that is a time energy number. How much time energy are you giving to Trump's executive orders or layoffs or watching social media that is just sort of showing the downfall of democracy? Like how much of your time and energy is going to that and on a given day?
Ooh, a given day. Easily less than 5 minutes on a given day, unless it's Monday where I watch John Oliver, I stream the most recent John Oliver on Monday morning. But I'm getting the New York Times headlines, and I'll just look at the top thing, say, well, that sucks. And because I know that if I go more than the first or second paragraph in, like I usually read the first paragraph and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good to know, but yeah.
Okay.
And then I just move on because it's like, if I do too much more than that, it pulls me into the weeds, and it's more like tell me what's going on, but I don't want to it's not swelter in it, but I don't want to wallow in it. Thank you.
Wallow. Yes.
I don't want to wallow.
Do you guys remember that little, feels like an innocent time when, everyone was asking how often you think about the Roman Empire?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah. I think the question now, it's much darker, but how often do you think about the Third Reich? Like
a lot more these days.
A lot more. Like it can be daily when you are, even 5 minutes. And that's why I'm connecting the amount of time with like how much drag it actually has on you. So how about you, Scott? What would you say?
Well, these days, that or less. I'm really trying to avoid it. What ends up happening for me is that I avoid it, but my brain's going, what are you avoiding? What's going on? Like I'm thinking about like the thing. It's like going, well, I see a giant, back to meteors for a second, but it's like me going, oh, there's a giant meteor. I'll just ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm still, the back of my head's going, meteor, it's huge. It's going to make a giant hole. It's going to kill tons of people. Like I'm still, it's weird because I kind of thought non-exposure would lower the anxiety around it for me, but instead and it probably has, because I don't have every detail of what's happening every second.
Right.
But pulling away like that has still left my brain going, yeah, but what's going on? What's going on right now?
Yeah.
Because something must be, something must be going on.
Because of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the surface skimming of a bunch of things has its own price, actually. So if you took one topic and went deeper on it, like really understand the what happened with Colombia and that false flag crap and behavior, right? Like you could take that one story, which I clearly deep dived on. I could tell you all about it, but it's like, okay, I can deep dive in this, think about it, get the full context. I could do that. or I can skim 10 other horrible things happening, and which actually makes me feel like I'm more informed or more settled. And I would argue most people probably a deeper dive on one thing versus the skimming has a better net effect than all of the other. So you're pointing to something really important. I think most people out of self-preservation are just viewing less and less time, or only going to sources that also are funny, like The Daily Show or John's, Oliver, that just give you like a way to rage and laugh at the same time.
Yeah.
We always need our jesters, right?
It's the spoonful of sugar with the medicine, really, is what it is.
Yeah, very much so. And so what I've been talking to a lot of people about is just sort of how to handle this dynamic. There are obviously actively people losing their jobs, and their sense of security and family relationships are really strained, and lots of things happening that are bigger than I just watched the news for 5 minutes or not. So notwithstanding that, there is this like a series of behaviors that I think when I've talked to people about using them and they implement difference. So there's the cold turkey method, right? Which is look at nothing and then only have one source of like a long form, maybe it's like meets the need of I'm somewhat informed, right? Because none of us will be fully informed, but I'm somewhat informed and I'm being thoughtful about something. Or they cold turkey everything and it's okay, stick your head in the sand. There's this part 2 though, by the way. And then, or the 5 minutes a day, or eliminating whatever it might be that is just sucking the energy. Think of it as we want to reduce the energy suck and the despair creating experience. So reducing that and creating some boundaries around that. And then here's the important
Do you think deep diving, sorry to interrupt, but what you just said really stuck out to me. Do you think deep diving is a good way to do that because you are getting a fuller picture of the one thing?
Yeah.
And it's more academic, right? It's not emotional. It's not headline reacty. It's going, okay, well, wait a minute. And you dig down a bit. And you're also being exposed to the truth of all of it, which isn't just the main story, but also who is trying to upset you. And sometimes it's a lefty trying to upset you.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's a righty. It doesn't matter. The point is you don't know who is until you kind of investigate. And it will, in theory, that's why I like reading history right now. That's my big coping mechanism right now is reading history, because history has all kinds of context and also a lot of dark stuff in history that we weren't there for it. So we don't know what it was like.
Sure.
And when you read about it, you go, oh, that's pretty bad. That's not even as bad as this. Or we're not as bad as that. Like you can gain that kind of perspective out of a deeper dive because you're looking at it in a more academic, more of a studied way instead of an emotional way. And that helps me a lot during
and
this.
that makes I get this sort of concept from personally doing it, but also the idea of what's the crap face Bannon, who was like just fill it all with crap and everyone's
flooding the zone, right? Flooding the zone.
Yeah, flooding the zone. There we go.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, guess what? I'm not doing. I'm not going to be part of the zone being flooded. I will deep dive. So it's my way of being competitive, but it is also like what you're saying, Scott. And here's the thing: think about it almost like layers of the brain. If the headline will activate the fear centers, right?
Yeah.
And the disgust and it's like the reality TV part of our brain. That is exciting, right? And it's appealing and it's shallow and we can get it quick and then move on with our lives. So you can stay there or you start using other faculties when you go deeper and you can really understand. This is the only place both sides actually makes sense, right? Where you're really, truly finding out what's real and what's true. And so when someone says, oh, do your research, what they're saying is Google a couple things that will fit your already
your
preconceived
narrative.
notions.
Yeah.
But actual research means you're surprised and you're wrong and so that's a commitment if you're not a researcher, but maybe you can find some sources that would feel, really helpful for you that way and try it. If you haven't done this, try it. Try eliminating all the surface stuff and do a deep dive on something and really pull out history. Like I'm reading a book about Vietnam right now and I'm like, I cannot believe Vietnam is giving me so much hope.
Sure.
Because it was so bad. And I think, Scott, mom was pregnant with you during that. Maybe that's why you curl up in fetal position. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe she was all tight and the womb was going constricting.
Exactly. And this is super recent history, right? Anyway, so you can have these like, that is to activate your brain in like a different way rather than just the fear center, panicky drama centers of the brain, right? Take the white woman phenomenon of murder podcasts, right? Or true crime. Why do you want to go so deep and understand every facet of something, right? Is you actually feel weirdly safer knowing all the information than you do by like, there was a killer once in your old neighborhood, and you just would panic. So it would be that kind of mental practice. Yeah. So, okay, that's part one, is kind of play around with that to see what works for you. And it may be literally nothing, or it may be your 5-minute timer goes off, you're done. Okay, so there's that. The second part, and this is the part I think is the most important, and this is why I told you that story at the beginning, is as I talk to people, I realize so many people, and we know this from stats actually, are just a little more isolated socially than they have been. There's been a lot of pressure on relationships for everyone to just agree with each other or commiserate with each other. And if you can't, you're not safe. We have a lot of interpersonal strain that's occurred. And so this is as simple as this and like, hey, get together with your friends and have some pizza, or all the way to you need to do something, right? You read this stuff, you feel powerless, and then you just go live your life. And that sort of cognitive dissonance or moral problem, it's like a moral problem. Like I care about this thing, but then I'm just going to go order my crap on Amazon and enjoy, right? Like we're not behaving, and this is just humans. It's not easy to behave with your conscience until it's demanded of you. And when it's not demanded of you, we have to sort of sit with some cognitive dissonance. So I've been telling people to be proactive about this and find a place where the energy / time you saved from not getting in the poop storm or flooding the zone, and translate that into very local, very personal. So for example, if your friend needs you, be there for your friend. It doesn't have to be this giant production, but it does need to be real and where you already are, right? So some kind of good within your tiny realm. And then if that feels, pretty secure, then where is the realm you care about, and put your boots on and go do a thing.
Yeah.
And there is value in like online marketing and behaviors and words, but overall we know like most of that is not helping anything. So something actually in person, if we can do it and connect it to a thing you care about. So if this were my client, I'd say, hi, R from California. What is happening literally right around you? And he's like, listen, I am having panic. Why? You're telling me to go volunteer? Yeah. Now, obviously I would have gotten further along before I said anything. So don't get me wrong, but this is really for everybody, of like, if I am distressed and in despair and freaking out, that energy is not going to something it needs to go to. And that we're built to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, his heart racing is to prep him for getting out of where he is because it's scary, even though his system is being hijacked, and we'll figure out how to help him with that. But that is how we operate. We have a feeling, we have a desire, we have an impulse, our bodies and brains, we're like, let's do something. And then we do nothing. It's problematic. So I would like to challenge everyone to just sort of take a good look at their content absorption and like how they're doing that, and seeing if that needs to be tweaked. And then find one boots on the ground something. It could literally be anything. And most people are already involved some way, maybe with the school or maybe with their church group or whatever. There's some connection that exists that you can just deepen, ask somebody if they want to do an extra thing with you or what is already going on. I have a friend who has sent me an entire doc full of all sorts of things coming up that you could support and help, especially with refugees and all the just strain on families and schools. And, it's so nice because I'm like, oh, I have 2 hours. Where can I put it? Right. So look around, see if you can help that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? And then I'll get into how to find a therapist.
Well, I can tell you that that's the only thing that's ever worked for me. In all honesty, every other idea, every other like, take this herb at night, or whatever bullcrap somebody tells me. The best thing that ever is like, someone in the chat just said it. Kai Risdale once said this. He said, where is it? He says, action absorbs anxiety. There it is. Chris wrote that. There is something real with that. The hard part, it's like the starter motor is a little tricky. It's like you can mow this lawn. But the cord's just not. You got to get it's got to start.
You got to pull that, yeah.
And that's that's the hardest part, because once you do that, then momentum is there, and you're moving, and you're going, and you got it. But getting that part done, that's where I struggle. I'm sure most people do.
Very common, very common. And so this is why we could gamify this, right?
Sure.
Instead of fantasy football leagues, we have fantasy boots on the ground leagues or some way personally to motivate yourself. Like, for me, I'm motivated by being around other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It looked like you were calling me on my phone. Are you guys trying to call me?
No, sometimes this happens. Discord
thing sometimes.
And it's usually way into the call. It will suddenly start calling. It's really weird. I don't know why it does that.
All right, that scared me. I'm like, who is on the inside calling me?
Right. Or was this the real Scott and Brian calling me? Then who am I talking to?
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew you guys did that AI with.
Sure.
Anyway, but that would be some way to like find a friend to do it with, right? Find ways to. I've had clients do this for 20-something years. I find out what is really they're struggling with, and if you see the headline, it really bothers you the most. And instead of picking one of the many things that bother you, you pick one, and then do one thing, right? And so if you haven't called your representative or your congressperson, that is the easiest one to do, right? Mm-hmm. And if you care about something, then make a phone call. Like that could be, I'm just going to start with one small thing, or like, who is a buddy that would also be willing to help me find something and do something together? That might help with the starter challenge, right? Because it is hard to start. Starting is always the hardest.
Kim just did with her friend, I can't remember her friend's name. My brain's dead right now, but they started a pottery class because they were looking for a creative outlet and to do a thing that they've never done before. It was a challenge for them to do it, where they had to work with others and this whole thing. And they've just been freaking loving that class. Just loving it.
Great diversion. Yeah.
Yes.
Man.
And really quick, I'm going to actually take the word you just said, Brian, and change it. It is not a diversion right now. It is a diversion it's not an escape.
Yeah,
I
don't want to imply that that's a negative term. Like it's distracting you from, it's just basically a focus you can have.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's not
still exists, but it's
it's not the word I have a problem with. It's more like
the way I said it.
No, Brian. No, it's more like this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like it is the thing. So I could go to a protest or I could go to a pottery class. That sounds weird that I would equate the two, but honestly, anytime you are around others and building bridges and truly realizing how many good people are everywhere, it helps immensely. So don't ask what you can do for your country. Go join an art class and get to know neighbors. Like truly, like that actually matters. And it sounds a little nuts, but it is as radically like successful in preventing garbage than anything else. Yeah. Like you need to know your neighbor. You need to have contact with people and not just think people all suck. So if we all just sit in our cars and think everyone sucks because of how they drive, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're in big trouble.
If you hate people, you are stuck.
Oh my God, Wendy, people's driving sucks so bad.
I know.
People come to an intersection to make a turn, and it's like they're drawing a diagonal line across. Like,
yeah, but here's
anybody now.
Here's a story that
they really will.
Yeah. Here's a story that Wendy will probably like, because it probably supports what you're saying. I got rear-ended once by who I thought was someone I didn't know and was just being stupid. And I was parked at a light and the person, it wasn't even bad.
You don't
it was like
park at a light, you stop.
Stopped at a light, yeah. And I wasn't moving, is the point.
The problem is you parked.
Yeah. And he comes up and bumps the back of me. It wasn't super hard. I didn't like get whiplash or anything, but it was obviously he wasn't paying attention, bumped the thing. And I was like immediately into car anger mode, like who the hell? And then I see this person get out of their car, and I get out of my car, and I'm prepping for a conflict.
Fight.
Yeah, it's gonna get real ugly here on the street. And I get out of there, and I recognize this is my neighbor 3 doors down, who we like a lot. Everyone's friendly. We've had them for dinner. They've had us for dinner, over for dinner, I should say. We hang out all the time. Our kids are similar ages, like all this stuff. And it was like, oh man, hey, what's up? Like immediately changed everything about the scenario because we knew each other and we knew each other fondly. It wasn't, so no longer was I going, where'd you learn how to drive? Give me your papers. That all went away. Instead, it was like, oh man, this is silly.
Or, how are you okay? You all right?
Yeah, you suddenly care about the other person more, all that kind of stuff. So that was one of the wildest experiences I had ever had. And I don't even know if I really truly learned my lesson because there had been plenty of dumb people that cut me off or do something stupid, and I still get all mad. For all I know, that's somebody I knew. I don't know.
Well, right, exactly. If you didn't know he was your neighbor, you might have still been mad and then realized like doors away, which is, shame on all of you. No, really, you're talking about the biology of separation, right? I'm in a car. I'm under threat. Let's all be honest about it. And when that bubble gets even tapped, then we have responses that are protective, and anger is the main one of like, how do I handle this, right? So yes, I like that illustration because it there really is a lot of self-soothing, sort of humanizing experiences. Humanizing people is really, really important. Dehumanizing is a tactic. Oh, I don't know. We've seen many times in history, right? So anything that can humanize someone and make sure there's a real person behind that label someone else has put out makes a massive difference. Right? So maybe if we all just said, okay, what is one activity I can do that would humanize another? And pottery's great. That humanizes the person running the kiln and the people sitting next to you and whatever it is, right? So it doesn't have to be that you're all doing some massive, the Underground Railroad that I'm suggesting, but it does mean do your part to be a person in this world with each other and humanize other people, right? So thanks for coming on my TED Talk. All right, so now what I need everyone to do
homework.
is go to their internet.
We got some homework. Let's do it.
All right, we're going to do it right now. And are in California, hopefully you're listening and you can do it with us. So I want everyone to pull up and we've done this maybe once before, but I want you to go to psychologytoday.com.
Wait, give it to us again. Psychologytoday.com. Is that you said? You cut out for a second.
Psychologytoday.com, and it pulls up. There's a lovely lady looking up and to the right. Anyway, but you see right below, it'll say find a therapist.
Yeah, it's now her eyes are rolling for me. What's going on? Just kidding.
Weird. We all have different internets, obviously. Okay, so if you go to the find your therapist, find a therapist, and you can click on that and see that there's psychiatrists, support groups, and treatment centers, usually. And what you do is you put in your zip code. So I'm going to put my zip code in. You guys put your zip codes in, especially R. And immediately I have all these lovely faces, people who have spent their whole lives in training to care.
Happy. Yeah.
Yes. And each person writes their deal. Here's my deal. I want to help you along the way. And you're going to see their qualifications. So we have psychologists, we have licensed professional counselors, we have family therapists, we have clinical social workers. I'm going to just give you the shorthand. Everybody's the same. They are. Everybody is trying and helping. They just did school a little bit differently.
So many women. Why is your industry so dominated by the ladies? Do you think? Is it because you guys all are smarter and open-hearted and
they're very sexist about letting men be?
I think it's because women are awesome.
Do you really want to talk?
I'm kidding.
He's kidding. He's joking.
You really want to talk about the history of why any field was once male-dominated and now has become female-dominated?
I mean, I
probably
not. Yeah,
zero.
They probably don't exist. Yeah, it's But I like that because I'll tell you what, I don't know what this says about me. I'd rather have a female therapist than anything.
Everyone's got mommy issues. That's real.
I don't trust this Jeremy guy here.
We could have a whole.
I'm not picking this
session.
first one though. I'm not picking that first one right there.
Okay, so that is exactly a great point. You have like a gut response, right? Yeah. And that's not fair because it's like Tinder and we're swiping right and left and pictures are pictures. But you read what they say, you click on so you could just pick the first one, click on the view. You're going to see where they are created near you. Sometimes they have a little video. I always scroll down to see if they do a free 15-minute consultation. Most people do. And on there, you email them, set that up. You get to chat and find out if you're a good fit. You are hiring someone to help you overcome this onset of what seems like an anxiety disorder or the beginning of an anxiety disorder. This is important. So you find out how much practice they've had, et cetera. So if you keep going down, you can see what their top specialties are. Yep. So you make sure it's somebody who works with anxiety. I like it when they're like life transitions or the lifespan. You're going to look, if you're 50, you look for someone who is well aware of that as a dynamic because you're in that category. You can also, and of course there's the filters at the top, right? When you search, search for your insurance company, search for someone who lives near you. There are LGBTQ, professionals who can really help, the communities they are allied with. So they will list those. So you can have a religious person who's affiliated with a religion and that's their deal. And then all sorts of different types and approaches, right? Yeah. So it's usually pretty thorough. You can just email them. You can see if they're accepting patients. You can see if they do it online. It's got everything you need. Psychology Today has done a really good job of, I find people in England for people. I found Germans. It's really weirdly robust. Some websites you're like, this is kind of the ideal one because a lot of our training, we do a lot of continuing education. They're always throwing us like, hey, and here's your free 6 months of Psychology Today. And people get a lot of business through here. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find me on here. I'm not here because I'm cool like that. But everyone else is good. This is not like, oh, they're no good. They're here. I promise. They're all good. Sure.
Okay.
I maybe don't trust the one whose description says, please enter please write for me some copy that would be good for a therapist.
Yeah.
And it's a ChatGPT
they did not.
response.
Yeah. People that didn't finish their ChatGPT prompts, you don't want them.
That's amazing.
Wendy, should I trust somebody named Ammon? And you know why I'm asking the question. Should I trust that? Is that okay?
Do not.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. What's it a man too? And you can't. You're.
I can't do the men. I like the women's. I like the ladies.
Yeah, like the women. So you can see right at the top there. You guys have female, online, right? Like you can filter. Yeah. And I'm gonna have everyone go to the filters really quick.
Oh,
so
wow! There's a lot here, and there's anxiety right there.
Mm-hmm. There we go. So what you would do is you would click anxiety, and I would throw in
screen addiction.
Ooh, does it have there?
Podcast addiction? No, it's not.
Okay. And then if you prefer male, female, not do online, whatever, all that. And then when you go to subspecialties, you can go even further. So you may feel like, men's issues. There's a men's issues you could throw in there. There's maybe you're a veteran. Maybe there's some substance use you forgot to put in the email. Okay, whatever, right? Then you go do your insurance and
that's cool.
Yeah. And then it shows your therapy. Now go to the types of therapy. Here's the other one I want you to glance at.
Okay.
So all of these are great. There's literally nothing in here I'd be like, don't do it. But with anxiety, there's a couple really great specific ones if you want to try. Sometimes it narrows it too much because not everyone has clicked every single thing they do.
You're talking about the heading that says types of therapy. That's what you're talking about?
Types of therapy, yeah. So when you open it up, there's a million options, right? You can see them.
Yeah.
I really like internal family systems. That's one. I found that really helpful with anxiety. So I would click on that because that's me, but that's a good one. And let's see. Emotionally focused is quite good. EMDR is quite good.
What does EMDR stand for? I saw that in a couple people's descriptions that they're specialists in EMDR.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's eye movement desensitization always say it wrong.
Oh,
but
you
basically,
talked about this
it's
before,
moving
right?
your eyes, for trauma and different things. So it's really effective for trauma.
That's right.
He didn't mention any trauma, and so you want someone who's probably pretty good at trauma, but that won't maybe be the most important exactly thing, but it could be because
what is strength based? It sounds like that's something I'm checking off at the freaking nighttime fitness.
As you build your character in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So strength based is really like seeing the patient or the client as a whole, and that there's some things that need help rather than their pathology or a problem.
Okay.
And it's everybody who's a decent therapist is pretty strength based. They're not going to be like 100% just you're a loser, right? Like it's all you have so many strengths, but they tend to have training. So you would list these things if you've done specific training in it, or maybe you have credentialing in some of these things.
All I picture is the lady from Severance going, "Your innie is very good at talking to other people."
Right.
Your innie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you watched that show at all, by the way, Wendy?
I love it. I'm waiting. I got to finish Silo. I have one more episode before I can start the second season.
You're just like mirroring my life right now, except for having better eyeballs. Other than that, we're very similar.
Silo has been very fun. Okay, so you can see if you have a kid needs therapy, always click on sand play. Sand play is important. Or play therapy for kids. You want someone who...
I want sand play. Like,
sand play?
While you're talking, you're just playing with sand and building stuff, and
it's amazing. I think adults should have play therapy. And they do.
Some of that silicone sand stuff over in the other room that I used to drag out when we had kids come over, and it's like, I got to play with that myself. Like, get that out in a little bowl or something, and just
nothing wrong with that.
Sand where you're just feeling the sand, like beach therapy. So really quick, we've talked about OCD in other episodes, and if you're looking at this list, exposure response prevention and prolonged exposure therapy, those are ones you want to click. You want to know someone really knows what they're doing with OCD. So as you can see, this is an incredible service of like, here, I'm going to narrow this down to what I need. I can click on the age I am to make sure they work with people like me. You can pick your ethnicity, your sexuality, your language, your faith. And then you can see in price ranges. And sliding scale, everyone, is where the therapist will take you based on your income. You'll pay that amount.
That's cool.
And so really cool. So then you click on whatever comes up and you start making phone calls. And I just got 100-year-old lady pulled up. I'm not calling her. That's not going to work. And also no one told her how to I know, you guys, but really that's a terrible picture. But it's usually because they might be amazing. They're just bad at computers. So just
right, exactly.
be kind.
Yeah.
Anyway. Like the side of their face, when you're talking to them.
Yeah. You're like, no, it's not. But doesn't mean everyone who's good at, computer savvy is good at therapy. If you need an older, safe pace, maybe that's a fit for you. So here's what I love to tell people is really just like you're doing a gut check. Do you like them? Do you feel heard? In your little 15-minute free chat, are you feeling like, oh, yeah, that was helpful? Like if I talk to someone for 15 minutes and they don't get the sense from me that I can help them and that I'm helpful and you click with me, don't force it. I don't want you coming in, right? And I also have done this for vetting other therapists, and it's just true. You get a sense. So I love that feature that you could do 15 minutes. Check it out.
Most of these. So
that would be a good start.
I noticed most of these have the 15-minute thing. Almost all of them.
Yeah, it's a pretty common because it's hard. This is hard to pick someone.
Yeah, we
all know it. And the fit really matters. It's not like I go to a doctor who can just prescribe me something or set my bone and I don't care what his personality is like or her.
Yeah.
This matters, right? So you got to do a little investigating. And before the anxiety gets too bad, you want to be definitely doing this. This is really hard when you're depressed to make some of this effort. So,
sure.
So check that out. And again, all the acronyms mean nothing. Really, for all intents and purposes, you just want somebody who does have an acronym, who is a legitimate provider, but also has the skills to work with someone with anxiety. And then just make sure you vibe with them just a little. It doesn't have to be the biggest vibe. It can be just enough that you're willing to do the work and get the relief, that you need.
Sure. All right. Well, this is great. I think we put them on a path here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, put us both, everybody on a path. Everyone's on a path. Look at
Everybody.
this path. Yeah.
Let's be Gen Z. We all deserve this.
Let's do it, you guys. Bunch of weirdos. Well, this is fantastic. As always, good time hanging out on Therapy Thursday. Wendy, in the meantime, people should probably go to knowbetteryou.com and sign up for future updates and whatnot. How's that all going? Everything going good?
It's good. Yeah, we're week 3.
Yeah.
And it's fun. We have a good group and a lot of people in cold places. So I'm loving it. We're all like, what do we do indoors?
Yeah.
I thought she was going to say Coldplay.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
The whole Coldplay band is here, which is wild.
That's great. Everything's yellow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's all yellow.
But, yeah,
I like that.
give me your email and I'll send you what's coming up next.
Yeah, it's not spam. It's ham. No. It's better than that.
Spam.
Better than spam. That's what I was trying to say. That's the new slogan. Sign up today. Better than spam. Wendy, fantastic talking to you. Have a great week. Say hi to the kids, and we will see you next time. Bye now. Enjoy your better eyeballs that you somehow got.
Right, but those ovaries.
Oh man, those things! What a problem they turned out to be. All right, we are.
I like the woman you found, by the way, in your find a therapist list, who looks like she's miming the "I'm stuck in a box."
Yeah, I don't love this one. She's basically edges. That is edge to edge, so she really is doing that with her photo.
Yeah.
And I kind of hate it, so I won't be calling her. And it's fine. I'm sure she's very nice.
The tips of her fingers on her left.
Yeah, that's a little weird, isn't it?
Fingers look cut off. Yeah,
it's a bit weird.
Maybe is she AI generated? Count those fingers.
Oh my gosh! And the other hand's kind of bent funny.
The other hand's really effed up.
Yeah, something's going on here. Maybe she is generated. Shoot, Wendy's gone. We can't ask her about that whole problem.
What about AI generated therapists?
Yeah. All right, that's it for the show. Real quick note: we got a bunch of stuff coming up. Coverville today, noon. What's going on there?
Yeah, a triple today. Love it when I can fill the show with a triple. Howard Jones is turning 70. Walter Becker would have turned 75. Walter Becker, half of the band Steely Dan. I'll talk about that in 1 second. And Smokey Robinson turning 85. Now, when I do a show, there are very few bands that I can think of that are as divisive as Steely Dan. There are people that like Steely Dan a lot, and then there are people who don't like them a lot. And so when I do a show, my goal is never to, I'm going to change people's minds about Steely Dan. Never do that. But I'm going to strive to entertain people with songs that maybe take out the things that or have less of the thing that they probably don't like about Steely Dan, which is probably none of the songs that are kind of creepy. Avoid those.
Sure.
Hey 19, creepy song.
Mm-hmm. That one's problematic for sure.
Yeah, a little problematic. But then like having some songs in there that's like, oh yeah, I really like the kind of electronic take on this one. So Tina's the great example of that. Claire brings her up. Tina doesn't like Steely Dan. So I try and gear a show towards where Tina will be like, oh yeah, I really like Howard Jones. I'm not going to tune out during the Steely Dan stuff because it's all right actually.
Sure.
So
sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, that's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Smokey Robinson, Walter Becker, and Howard Jones.
Big old play date for a birthday party for all these artists. It's fantastic.
That's right. Yeah, wouldn't it be great? Yeah, all these play date. You mean like a 4 p.m. dinner at Denny's is really what it is.
Yeah. You put on the hats, the people there will sing to you. It's going to be great.
Exactly.
I've been following Howard Jones on TikTok lately, and he's great. Can I just say that? That guy's great.
He really is. He is so positive and uplifting and just really, really a really cool dude.
He still wears the little goofy hat. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go check that out if you have not. And also watch Coverville today, noon, live.
Yeah.
If you're
I'm having fun with my Everybody Screams deck, which is a deck that uses Scream and bounces their cards around and takes points away from their cards every time.
Nice.
Every time I move them. Yeah.
Nice. Watch for that. If you're like, man, I hate music. Well, if you like video games, then you have an alternative. Today at noon core, about an hour from now, you'll be able to watch that as well. Me, John Bowe, doing our thing. TMS Friday will happen tomorrow. Monica will be joining us with one of her recommendation visits. Also, she'll be part of our contest, so that'll be lots of fun.
Trivia,
Looking forward to that. Yep, that's for our patrons only. So if you want to be a Patreon supporter, do it today, and you can listen to our TMS Friday episodes as well, including all the back issues. Play Retro this weekend on Friday, 1:30. We've got Film Sack this weekend. Big long movie.
Ooh. Night Riders.
Yeah.
2.5 hour movie with Ed Harris.
Yeah.
And Renaissance festivals.
Yeah. Hard to tell what we're in for with this one, but
I know. I have not. I'm watching it tonight, and I'm already concerned.
Just make sure you got a 2.5 hour time period to watch this long ass movie. We tried to do shorter films, but this one.
Drink some wine and then watch Knight Riders. Woo!
There you have it. So that's this weekend. That'll be fun. And then Brian, you got a little plug you want to make here at the end.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to Chuck earlier, and there are still some spots available for the video game tournament. If you go to tms.vegas, the very first night, Monday night, or the very first official night, is a video game tournament run expertly by Amy and Chuck. Huge thanks to them. And they basically have a thing that keeps track of who's playing against who, and it is absolutely the most fun, friendly competition. If you're worried that you suck at video games, don't worry. 2/3 of us do suck at these old arcade games.
Yeah, and to make things clear, we're talking arcade machines, not like, right. You don't need to be good at like Fortnite or something.
Xbox, PlayStation, etc. You're playing, and you get to work with your person and figure out what game you both want to play. Maybe it's Tecmo Bowl. Maybe it's Blasteroids. Maybe it's Elevator Action. I don't know, but you'll pick a game and you'll play against each other. So go to tms.vegas and sign up.
Just get a little nervous if Cheesy G, Kathy comes up to you and says, "Hey, let's play Miss Pac-Man," because you're screwed. Don't do it.
Yeah, or Amy says, "Let's play Galaga," or who was it that was like a master at Dance Dance Revolution? Holy cow! Was it Bobby? Bobby was like really good at Dance Dance Revolution.
Bobby was pretty good. Kevin was really good. Casey Data Kevin.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
I was very bad, and we'll never do it again. It's a good workout, though. Anyway, that's all the stuff coming up. That's a good plug for Vegas. We got more Vegas stuff coming, so watch. I think next week will be the big week for like, hey, tickets are up, and here's what's in the bags and all that stuff. Yeah, so watch for that. Cool. That's going to do it for us. frogpants.com/TMS. Keep that feedback coming. Use that new voice thing. You can also keep texting us, emailing us. It's all there on the site, so go use it at your leisure. And we'll see a bunch of you tomorrow for our patron-only episode. Brian, let's get out of here with a song.
Cool. That's right. It was Ducey who was really good at Dance Dance Revolution. Bobby was really good at Guitar Hero. And I remember seeing Bobby playing, was it Dr. Nicky at Guitar Hero? How fun. Freaking fun.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
Good times. Love it.
Bob Finnegan, Mailman Bob, wrote in and said, "Dear S and B, February 9th was my 57th birthday. Happy birthday, dude. Woo! Can I get a happy Dirge Day?"
Of course. Hell yeah, right here. Where is it? That says diarrhea. Hold on. Here we go.
Happy birthday to you.
I almost pushed the diarrhea button. Sorry. You're good.
Brian, find me a cover of or by one of my favorite singers, Paul Carrick. Thank you. Love the show, though. Friday the 7th or anytime the following week would be great. How about anytime the following week, Bob?
Yeah.
Because you guys are all front-loaded on February, man. Totally front-loaded. Dude, Paul Carrick, not just your favorite vocalist or one of your favorite vocalists, one of mine as well. This is a guy who has had such tremendous range, or does have such tremendous range, and still sounds honey smooth. You know him from songs like Tempted by Squeeze, Tempted by the Fruit of Another. That was his lead vocal. Mike and the Mechanics, Silent Running, and The Living Years were both Paul Carrick fronted. The song "How Long Has This Been Going On?" That's Paul Carrick.
Nice.
Dude, there was the band Ace. Paul Carrick, incredible musician, incredible singer. So yeah, you tell me to play a Paul Carrick song, I'm gonna have some fun picking one. This one of the ones I just mentioned, but he did his own version of it, a stripped down version of Squeeze's Tempted from his Eyes of Blue single from 1995. Here's Paul Carrick taking the song solo and really breaking it down and making it awesome, even more awesome. Here's Tempted.
In the menu of life, make your main entree frogpants.com. It's delicious. Delicious.
Oh, phooey, I burned the darn muffin.